These 10% tariffs, the market doesn't like these either. We didn't get that back yet.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm so sorry.
Okay. That's CNBC's senior economics reporter Steve Leisman with those comments yesterday following President Trump's pause in tariffs.
So now,
would you like to speak?
Well, I just wanted to say, and my apologies, dear. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So the Nikkei, by the way, overnight up 9%. That's significant. Europe up 5.7%, also significant. Winning. So now,
would you like to speak?
Well, I just wanted to say, and my apologies, dear. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So the Nikkei, by the way, overnight. The president did, again, do, for the most part, what Senator Kennedy was talking about, a pause on reciprocal tariffs against allies and friends, and staying tough with China. Winning.
Yesterday, and especially here on Wall Street in New York, it was what you said about the bond market, which is that safe haven for the economy. When everything's in turmoil, the world turns to American bonds, it turns to the dollar, and that was beginning to collapse. They were seeing a sell-off there, and they implored the president to at least pause these tariffs for now. Now, he says this was the art of the deal. This was the plan all along. We'll hear from some of his supporters, hosts on Fox News and other places, that he did it. This was what he meant to do from the very beginning. But there were no negotiations with these countries that he said, well, I brought them to the table. There are no new deals. There are new tariff deals except for this pause. So we'll dig into the details of it. But the idea that this was the plan all along flies in the face of common sense and of what we all have been hearing about the bond markets in the last 24 hours.
It will be interesting to see what happens. You have South Korea, Japan, a lot of other countries wanting to move forward and figure out a deal. We'll see if that happens, and we'll see what happens also with the markets today. Asia strong overnight. Winning.
Yeah, I mean, make no mistake. Like, he panicked. It's probably the first time we've seen him blink in such a public way. He was under a lot of pressure from GOP senators, a lot of CEOs, a lot of investors, Elon Musk, people calling him saying, listen, look, not just the bond market, look at the regular market, look at the bond market, look at the dollar, that a real economic collapse was in the offing. And he saw that and he hit pause. And then you had his entire team come out and say, no, this was like part of the art of the deal. And I don't think anyone's buying that. Certainly a lot of people internally aren't buying it. They underestimated the effect that it would have on the markets. And now, yes, the market surged, but if you talk to CEOs, there's still so much unpredictability. You basically replace the largest, maybe the largest trade war of generations with another, maybe the second largest trade war, which is us versus China, which might be a bigger deal, and it's now escalated, which still creates a hell of a lot of uncertainty for CEOs and businesses who are trying to plan on, do they invest in people? Do they invest in buildings? What is their supply chain going to look like? And that uncertainty is going to continue to hover over the economy. And I think that is the pickle that the president is in right now. Somehow he has to figure out a way to thread that needle where he can get what he wants in terms of getting more fairness in trade between us and most of those nations, but also send a signal to these businesses and to the markets that there's going to be stability, that there's going to be a new regulatory environment, a new tax environment, and a trade environment that you can trust enough to make those investments.
Yeah, and the stock markets did come roaring back yesterday, John, but not yet even to the point where they were just 8 days ago when all this started. So let's talk about how he got to this place. We're seeing, if you go down the list of White House advisors, if you look at the Commerce Secretary, they're all saying this was a brilliant move. This was the art of the deal. The White House spokesperson, they're all citing his book from the 80s. But what really happened here? Obviously, he was watching the markets tank, telling people to be cool, hang tough, all of those posts before hitting the pause button yesterday. How did he get to that 90-day pause?
He blinked. Let's put it clearly. Yeah, I wrote on this for today as well. Taking us behind the scenes here. This is obviously days worth of unhappiness. We've seen the markets collapse since his so-called Liberation Day of last week. He was hearing from Republicans at the end of last week, over the weekend, privately concerned, saying, look, this is a problem. Market situation. We're talking about it. We're seeing 401ks disappear. We're seeing the stock market vanish. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who was largely out of the mix last week, reasserted himself over the weekend, spent time with Trump on Sunday, made the case, let's make this targeted. Not going to go public with criticisms, not saying do away with the tariffs entirely, but let's be a little smarter about these. And then the president, I am told by people close to him, over the last couple of days, saw a bunch of Republican senators on cable news shows, Senator Kennedy among them yesterday, did some media appearances, including here on Morning Joe, that he saw the concern. And more than anything, it was indeed the bond market. Some of his closest economic advisors saying this is the difference between potentially a recession and a depression. And Trump didn't want to own that. So I'm told yesterday, his team is trying to spin this as a win. Both inside and outside the White House, his biggest supporters saying this is the art of the deal, or look how clever it is that we've isolated China down the road. And there is certainly an appetite for taking on China, although there are going to be repercussions of that as well, Joe. But this was not the plan. This was he had to cave because of these external pressures. There were some dissent within his team that pushed him there as well. And then they're trying to spin this as a victory when it was really a retreat.
Donald Trump, let me just be very clear. Donald Trump is smarter than me, you, and all critics. You know why we know? Because he has the White House, the Senate, the House.
Totally agree.
Court, the popular vote. He has a massive media ecosystem bigger than the mainstream built around him and for him, and a religious fervor in a political movement around him. And his best buddy is the richest person in the history of the world, and the most relevant Kennedy is with him. This dude is a phenomenon. He is the most powerful human on earth and in our lifetime. And
winning.